Ladies and gentlemen, there is a profound truth that many of us must come to understand. God's blessings on our lives are not hindered by the presence of our enemies. Too often, we find ourselves intimidated or discouraged by the opposition we face, whether it's in our personal relationships, in our careers, or even in our spiritual walk. But I want to remind you today that God's favor is not limited by the obstacles around you. It is a divine force that moves according to His will, His timing, and His purpose for your life. You see, God's blessing transcends the circumstances of your life. The truth is, it does not matter who is against you when God is for you. His favor is not confined to a perfect, peaceful environment. It is not confined to a place where there are no challenges or struggles. No, the favor of God is far more powerful than that. God's favor moves in ways that defy logic, and it often moves most powerfully when you are surrounded by the very opposition that seems to block your progress. Think about it for a moment. God will bless you in front of your enemies. He will bless you in the presence of those who doubt you, criticize you, or try to hold you back. And not only does He bless you, but He uses those blessings as a testimony. The very people who have tried to limit you will witness the favor of God at work in your life. This is not only for your benefit, but it is for a greater purpose, to show others that God's power is undeniable, unshakable, and beyond comprehension. In fact, your enemies cannot stop what God has already planned. Their opinions, their actions, and their resistance have no power over God's will for your life. Look at the story of David. He was anointed king while still a young shepherd, yet he faced relentless opposition from Saul. But in the midst of that adversity, David's anointing did not diminish. He did not shrink back because of Saul's envy. In fact, God elevated David in the very presence of Saul. David's story became a testament to the reality that no one can stop the plan of God for your life, not even those who wish you harm. But there is something we must understand: the blessings we receive are not merely for our own enjoyment. They are always tied to a purpose greater than us. When God blesses you in front of your enemies, He does so with a purpose. You are not only being blessed for your personal gain, but also to serve as a witness of God's power and faithfulness. Your testimony of victory in the face of opposition becomes a living example to those around you that God's favor is real, that He is a rewarder of those who diligently seek Him, and that His promises are sure. Now, I know that waiting for God's blessing, especially in the presence of opposition, can feel overwhelming. You may wonder if it will ever happen. You may question whether your breakthrough is on the horizon. But this is where faith and perseverance come in. When you remain steadfast, even when the enemy seems to surround you on every side, you allow God to show Himself mighty in your life. Faith is what sustains you during the waiting periods. It's your confidence that God will come through for you even when the situation seems bleak. Perseverance strengthens your character and prepares you to handle the blessings God has in store. Without it, you would not be ready to handle the magnitude of the favor that is coming your way. And finally, when God blesses you in the presence of your enemies, it is a testimony to the world of what happens when you trust in God's timing and purpose. You will stand as a beacon of light, an example of what can happen when you remain true to God and persevere through difficulty. The blessings will flow not just for you, but for everyone who witnesses it. They will see the power of God working in you and through you, and they will know that if He did it for you, He can do it for them too. So today I want to encourage you, whatever enemy you face, whatever opposition seems to stand in your way, know that it cannot stop God's plan for your life. His favor is greater than any opposition. His blessing is unstoppable. Stand firm in your faith, trust His timing, and know that in His perfect will, He will bless you in front of your enemies for His glory and for your good. There is a force in the world, a divine energy that cannot be comprehended by human understanding or contained by worldly limitations. That force is the favor of God. It is a power that transcends anything we can achieve through our own abilities, and yet it is freely offered to those who walk in alignment with His will. The favor of God is not just a blessing, it is a life-changing force that has the power to open doors that no man can shut, to break chains that no enemy can bind, and to create opportunities that defy every natural law. When we speak of God's favor, we are not talking about a mere passing good fortune or temporary moments of success. We are speaking of the kind of favor that shifts the very atmosphere around you. It's the kind of favor that reorders your steps, realigns your purpose, and shifts your life onto a path of destiny, regardless of your circumstances. The favor of God is not limited by your background, your education, your resources, or your connections. It is not contingent upon what you have or what you lack. It is God's supernatural empowerment at work in you, lifting you beyond what you could ever accomplish on your own. In the natural world, we are often told that success is earned through effort and strategy, that opportunities are for those who work the hardest or know the right people. But the favor of God works differently. It is a divine invitation that goes beyond mere hard work or connections. It's an empowerment that accelerates your journey and opens doors that would otherwise remain closed. God's favor doesn't operate within the narrow confines of human understanding. It operates in the realm of the impossible, where what seems like a dead end becomes the beginning of something extraordinary. Think of Joseph, a young man who, despite being betrayed by his brothers, falsely accused and thrown into prison, found the favor of God. His circumstances were dire, yet in the midst of every setback, God's favor was upon him. The favor of God took him from a prison cell to the palace, from a place of rejection to a place of elevation. Joseph's story shows us that when God's favor is on your life, your position and your past are irrelevant. The favor of God doesn't care about what has been spoken over you, what you've been through, or what you've lacked. It has the power to elevate you beyond your circumstances and place you exactly where you need to be. But God's favor is not just for moments of success or promotion. It is also in the times of struggle, in the midst of pain, and during seasons of waiting. God's favor can carry you through your darkest moments. When you are in a season of uncertainty, when you can't see the way ahead, God's favor will make a way where there seems to be no way. It doesn't promise an easy path, but it does promise the strength to endure and the peace to trust in God's plan. The favor of God assures you that even in the storm, you will not be overwhelmed. It gives you a deep-rooted sense of assurance that no matter what happens, God is with you, guiding you and providing for you. This favor is not a mere passing gift, it is a constant companion. When God's favor is upon you, it follows you, it goes before you, making the crooked places straight and the rough places smooth. It surrounds you like a shield, protecting you from harm and providing for your needs. When others see the favor of God in your life, they may wonder how you keep going when the world seems to be against you. They will see the hand of God moving on your behalf in ways they cannot explain. And in that moment, you will know that it is not by your own might, but by His grace and favor that you are standing strong. What makes God's favor so powerful is that it is freely given. It's not about earning it. It's not about being worthy of it. The favor of God is rooted in His love for you, His child. It's a gift that He bestows upon those who seek Him, those who trust Him, and those who walk in His ways. When you are aligned with His will, you open the door to His favor. It is His delight to bless His children. It's not something that can be demanded or manipulated, but it is something that flows naturally when we position ourselves in a place of trust and obedience. The favor of God is also a tool for transformation. When God's favor touches your life, it transforms everything it comes in contact with. It changes your perspective. It changes your heart. It changes your way you see yourself, and it transforms the way others see you. No longer will you be defined by your limitations or past failures. You are now defined by the favor of God upon your life, and that favor changes the way you walk, the way you speak, and the way you interact with the world around you. It gives you the courage to step into the unknown, knowing that with God's favor you will never walk alone. God's favor is a treasure beyond measure. It is something that cannot be bought, earned, or replicated. It is a divine gift that, when accepted, has the power to change not only your life but the lives of those around you. It opens doors of opportunity, it brings peace in the midst of trials, and it enables you to accomplish things that seem impossible. The favor of God is not just a momentary blessing, it is the sustaining force that propels you into the fullness of God's purpose for your life. So I encourage you today to embrace the power of God's favor. Know that it is not dependent on your circumstances, your resources, or your abilities. It is dependent on the unchanging love of God and His commitment to fulfilling His plan for your life. Step into His favor with faith and expectancy and watch as He works wonders in your life. When we think about God's blessings, we often focus on the material or immediate aspects: comfort, security, and success. And while these are certainly part of the picture, there's a deeper, more profound purpose behind God's blessings that extends far beyond the surface level. To understand the full scope of God's blessings, we must first grasp that they are not simply rewards for good behavior, nor are they designed only to enhance our own lives. No, God's blessings are woven into the fabric of His greater plan for the world, a plan that is far more intricate and powerful than we can imagine. At the core of every blessing from God is a purpose. Each blessing, whether small or large, is a tool that God uses to mold us, shape us, and equip us for something greater. When God blesses you, He is not just giving you something to hold on to, He is preparing you for a journey. He is refining your character, strengthening your spirit, and positioning you in a place where you can be a blessing to others. So the first thing we must realize is that God's blessings have a far-reaching impact. They are not just for your benefit, they are for the benefit of those around you, for those you will influence, for those who will be touched by your life. Imagine for a moment a stream of water flowing from the mountains. It starts as a small trickle, but as it flows down, it nourishes the land, gives life to plants, and sustains animals. The stream doesn't just flow for its own benefit. It's part of a larger ecosystem. The blessings God pours into our lives are much the same. We are not meant to be reservoirs that hold onto His blessings selfishly, but rather channels through which His goodness flows to others. As God blesses you, He also enables you to bless the people around you, whether it's through your generosity, your kindness, your wisdom, or your love. You are positioned to be a living testament of God's goodness, a light in the world that reflects His grace. Moreover, God's blessings are a part of His divine strategy for the world. In the kingdom of God, blessings are never just about individual success or prosperity. They are a tool for building His kingdom, advancing His purposes on earth. Every blessing you receive is meant to expand His influence and further His mission. Whether you realize it or not, you have been entrusted with something sacred, something that holds eternal value. The very things God blesses you with, whether it's your talents, your resources, your opportunities, are meant to be used for His glory. They are not to be hoarded or used for selfish gain. They are meant to be shared, to be multiplied, and to be used to draw others into His love and truth. And let's not forget, God's blessings also serve as a testimony. When you experience His favor, others take notice. People who know you, or even those who don't, can see the hand of God at work in your life. Your blessings become a living testimony to His power, His faithfulness, and His desire to bless His children. In this way, your life becomes a witness to others of what is possible when you align yourself with God's purposes. Others may be drawn to seek God, to pursue a deeper relationship with Him, simply because they've seen His blessings at work in your life. Finally, God's blessings remind us of the importance of stewardship. It's not just about receiving, it's about how we manage what God gives us. How we handle our blessings speaks volumes about our hearts. Are we faithful with the little so He can trust us with more? Are we generous, sharing with others and using our resources to serve His kingdom? Stewardship is about recognizing that everything we have is a gift from God and that we are called to manage it wisely, not just for our benefit, but for the good of others and for God's glory. In essence, the purpose behind God's blessings is so much greater than we often realize. They are not just rewards to be enjoyed, they are tools for growth, opportunities to bless others, revelations of God's character, and a part of His greater plan for the world. As we embrace these blessings, we must remember that they are meant to be used, to be shared, and to point others back to the goodness and glory of God. When we understand the purpose behind God's blessings, we begin to see our lives as part of a much larger, eternal story, one that is unfolding with every blessing we receive and every opportunity to bless others. Your enemies cannot stop what God has planned for you. In fact, their opposition, no matter how fierce it may seem, is powerless against the divine purpose that God has over your life. Too often we find ourselves preoccupied with the opinions, judgments, and actions of those who oppose us. We allow their criticisms, their scheming, and their doubts to consume our thoughts and dictate our emotions. But let me remind you today, your enemies, no matter how many or how loud they are, cannot derail the path that God has ordained for you. Think about it. The very people who have tried to hold you back, the ones who've attempted to diminish your dreams and your purpose, are powerless in the face of God's sovereignty. The God who created the heavens and the earth is the same God who has spoken His plan over your life, and His plan will not be thwarted. The Bible says in Isaiah 14:27, "For the Lord of hosts has purposed, and who will annul it? His hand is stretched out, and who will turn it back?" This is a reminder that when God has spoken, there is no power, no person, no circumstance that can change His will. Consider the life of Joseph. His brothers, motivated by jealousy and hatred, threw him into a pit, sold him into slavery, and left him to rot in a foreign land. In their eyes, they had rid themselves of him for good. But what they did not know was that in the very act of trying to destroy him, they were unknowingly fulfilling God's plan for his life. Joseph went from the pit to Potiphar's house, from Potiphar's house to prison, and ultimately from prison to the palace. Through every stage of his journey, God was at work. His enemies thought they were limiting him, but they were merely serving as instruments in God's divine orchestration. What they intended for harm, God used for good. You see, the opposition we face is often not about us at all. It's about the bigger picture, God's bigger picture. When we are walking in God's purpose, our enemies are simply part of the process. They may try to disrupt our peace, sow seeds of doubt, or slow us down, but they cannot stop what God has planned. God has the final say over our destiny, and when His hand is on our lives, there is no power, human or spiritual, that can prevent us from fulfilling His purpose. Let's take a moment to consider how this plays out in our own lives. Maybe there are people around you who doubt your potential, criticize your dreams, or actively work against your success. Perhaps you faced opposition in your career, relationships, or even your spiritual journey. The temptation is to fight back, to engage with your enemies, or to succumb to their negativity. But I want you to remember that your battle is not against flesh and blood. It's not about defeating those who oppose you. It's about trusting that God has already defeated the enemy on your behalf. The victory is already won. The outcome is already determined. What you need to do is focus on moving forward in faith, trusting that God's plan will unfold in its perfect time. This is where faith comes in. Faith is not just about believing in the outcome, it's about trusting in the process. It's about trusting that God is working even when you can't see it. It's about knowing that the setbacks, the disappointments, and the opposition are not barriers but stepping stones to your greater purpose. When you walk in faith, you walk with the assurance that nothing, absolutely nothing, can stop God's will for your life. Not the opinions of others, not the obstacles in your path, and not even the fiercest attacks from your enemies. So I encourage you today, don't waste another moment worrying about who's against you or what's coming against you. Your focus needs to be on the God who is for you. When God is on your side, you don't need to worry about who is on the other side. The battle is already won. The victory is already secured. Your enemies cannot stop what God has planned for you because God is not finished with you yet. No matter how difficult the journey may seem, keep pressing forward. Trust that God is working all things together for your good and His glory. Your enemies are simply spectators in the process of God's divine purpose being fulfilled in your life. Keep moving forward with confidence because God's plan cannot be stopped. Faith and perseverance are not just concepts we talk about in times of ease or prosperity. They are powerful forces that propel us through the hardest, most testing seasons of our lives. To have faith is not simply to believe that good things will come, but to trust in the goodness and faithfulness of God, even when the path seems unclear. And perseverance. It is the strength that keeps us moving forward when every step feels heavy, when doubt creeps in, and when the road stretches endlessly ahead. Together, these two elements create a foundation that allows us to not only endure, but to thrive in the face of adversity. When we talk about faith, we often focus on the hope for something better, something brighter ahead. But true faith is more than optimism. It is a deep-rooted assurance in the heart of God and His unchanging nature. It is knowing without a shadow of doubt that no matter what comes our way, God will never leave us nor forsake us. This kind of faith isn't built on the fleeting promises of the world or the temporary highs of human success. It is built on the eternal promises of a faithful God who works all things together for our good. It's the kind of faith that allows us to stand tall in the face of overwhelming odds, knowing that our circumstances do not define us, our faith in God does. However, faith is not always enough on its own. There is a powerful partner to faith that often gets overlooked: perseverance. Perseverance is the inner strength that rises up in the face of challenges. It's what enables us to keep moving even when everything around us suggests that we should stop. Without perseverance, faith would remain a beautiful thought without the power to change our reality. It's through perseverance that our faith is proven. It's when we keep pressing forward in the face of setbacks, when we refuse to give up despite the challenges, that our faith grows stronger and our purpose becomes clearer. We must understand that both faith and perseverance are cultivated through experience. They are not things we can simply hope for or wish into existence. They are developed through action, through the choice to continue when we want to quit, through the decision to believe when every circumstance tells us to doubt. It is in those moments of struggle, when the world around us seems to crumble, that our faith is tested and refined. In those moments, perseverance becomes our guide, pushing us forward when we feel like we cannot go any further. Together, faith and perseverance teach us resilience, the ability to bend without breaking, to endure without being defeated. But there's something else that happens when we choose to walk in faith and perseverance, something that shifts within us. Our character begins to change. Our trust in God deepens. What seemed impossible becomes possible. Our understanding of who God is and who we are in Him grows clearer. We begin to recognize that the trials we face are not just obstacles, but opportunities for transformation. With every challenge that tests our faith, we grow stronger. With every moment of perseverance, we come closer to the person we were created to be. God is using those very difficulties to refine us, to shape us, to draw out the best version of who we are in Him. And in this process, we begin to inspire others. Our perseverance becomes a testimony of God's faithfulness. When others see us standing firm in the face of adversity, they are reminded of the power of faith and perseverance. They see that if we can endure, so can they. It's not just our personal journey, but a communal one. Our faith and perseverance touch the lives of those around us in ways we may never fully understand. We become living proof that when we lean on God's strength, we can overcome anything. Faith and perseverance are the bedrock upon which all of life's greatest achievements are built. They are the fuel that drives us to reach heights we once thought impossible. They are the courage that propels us to act when fear tells us to retreat. And most importantly, they are the gateway through which God's purpose for our lives is revealed and fulfilled. Let your faith be unwavering and your perseverance unshakable, because with these two there is no obstacle you cannot overcome, no dream you cannot achieve. You are more than capable, more than equipped. And with God by your side, you will see His promises come to pass in your life. Faith and perseverance are the twin forces that shape our journey, transform our character, and bring us closer to the fulfillment of God's purpose for our lives. When we place our trust in God, believing that He is working all things for our good, and when we refuse to let setbacks or obstacles break our spirit, we not only grow stronger, but we become a living testament to His faithfulness. Every trial, every challenge is an opportunity to refine our faith, to build our endurance, and to emerge as the people we were created to be. So hold fast to your faith, keep moving with perseverance, and watch as God works in and through you to accomplish more than you ever thought possible. With God by your side, there is no limit to what you can achieve. Keep pressing forward. Your victory is in the journey.